Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is Siri Rag Mahalla Tija. Pankhi Birakh Suhavara, Sach Chugge Gur Paaye, Har Ras Peeve Sahaj Rahe, Ude Na Aave Jaye, Nijgar Vasa Paya, Har Har Naam Samaye, मन रे गुर की कार कमाए गुर कै भाणे जे चलै तां अनदिन राचे हर नाए रहाओ पंखी बिरख सुहावड़े उडे चह दिस जाए पंखी बिरख सुहावड़े उडे चौ दिस जाहे जेता उडह दुख गण नित ढाजे तै बिल लाए बिन गुर महल न जापई ना अमृत फल पाए गुरमुख ब्रह्म हरियावला साचे सहज सुभाए साखा तीन निवारया एक शब्द लिव लाए अमृत फल हर एक है आपे दे खवाए मनमुख ऊबे सुख गए ना फल तिना छाओ तिना पास न बैसिए ओना घर न गिराओ कटिए तै नित जालिए ओना शब्द न नाओ हुक्मे कर्म कमावणे पये किरत फिराओ हुक्मे दर्शन देखना जह भेजह तह जाओ हुक्मे हर हर मन वसै हुक्मे सच समाओ हुक्म न जाने पपड़े भूले फिरे गवार मन हट कर्म कमाम दे नित नित होए खुआर अंतर शांत न आवई ना सच लगे प्यार गुरमुखियां मुँह सोहणे गुर के हित प्यार सच्ची भक्ति सच रते दर सच्चे सचियार आए से परवान है सब कुल का करह उधार सब नदरी कर्म कमाव दे नदरी बाहर न कोय जैसा नदर करे देखे सच्चा तैसा ही है कोय नानक नाम वड्याइयां कर्म प्राप्त होए. In this passage we discern a couple of related themes. There is, for instance, the nature of the mind or human existence. And then the passage also talks about the framework within which this mind functions, namely the framework of karam, actions, deeds, and hukum, and their interrelationship. So it starts off by reminding us that Pankhi Birakh Suhavara Sach Chugge Gur Paaye, Har Ras Peeve Sahaj Rahe Ude Na Aave Jaye. So the sentient being, that is us, are likened to a bird, Pankhi, that is attracted, Suhavara, to the tree, Birakh. Why? Because it finds the tree comforting and it finds rest there and nourishment as well. So likewise, sentient beings are supported by the tree of life. Now, this is a metaphor that symbolizes genealogical relationships. A tree is a symbol of genealogical relationships. And this reflects our relationship with Akal Purkh, the timeless being, who is our support. And just like a bird has an innate sense to distinguish which fruit to eat, it can actually discriminate between what is not good for it, poisonous, and what is good for it. Similarly, we have innate within us Gur wisdom, which gives us a sense of discrimination, the only difference being that within us we are not fully aware of it. And so, if we look at a bird that has just eaten, we will find that it rests peacefully. It does not hop from branch to branch. Likewise, we are being reminded that a mind that has absorbed har ras, the essential knowledge of the self, comes to be anchored, nij vasa, in self-knowledge, nam. It experiences a state of spontaneous ease and balance, sahaj. And then this analogy continues. The passage turns to the inherently restless nature of the bird. The birds are just by nature fidgety, always fluttering around from branch to branch, only to fly off into the distant sky. Pankhi Birakh Suhavara udde chaudas jaye, all over the place. And the further a bird flies, the sooner it is exhausted. It burns out and then it cries out. Jeta udde dukhakane, nitatajje te belalai. And so the mind is also naturally restless and fidgety, and it's constantly being assailed by temptations outside and inner chatter inside, and that becomes exhausting. The rat race of success that we are all trapped in is eventually a failure of our priorities. However, we cannot understand our priorities without Guru wisdom. Without Guru wisdom, the self's presence within us, which is the goal of our human life, is to presence that self, cannot be understood. And therefore, the sweet fruit of self-knowledge cannot be tasted. Bin gur mahal na japai na amrita phal paye. Na japai means you cannot even begin to conceive of what the goal might be. And so that is the sense of purpose that we have to develop. Self-knowledge. Bin gur mahal na japai. We have to understand what that mahal, what that form is, before we can even begin to move in that direction. Now, if Guru wisdom is acknowledged and followed, then the restless, selfish mind, manmukh, is transformed into a gurmukh, Guru-guided. It then actually becomes like a fruit-bearing and shade-giving tree. Gurmukh Brahm Haryavala, Sache said Subai. What this means is that by becoming attuned to the eternal self, Brahm, through Guru wisdom, the Gurmukh transcends the Trigun and is anchored in Sahaj, the state of intuitive awareness. Sakhatin Nivarya a-sabad-a-day. Trigun, of course, refers to the three modes of existence that govern our lives. And that is the arena in which our ego expresses itself to varying degrees. The translation simply is this, that the Gurmukh sees the oneness beyond these qualities and sees the oneness of creation and is able to rise above mundane and selfish concerns to become useful to the larger social body. So the point being made is, understand that there is a larger purpose to life than simply one's belly. Look beyond the belly. There's a larger concern that you have to become a part of. But we all share this plight of the manmukh. Manmukh ube sukha gaye, like a dried out tree, meaning lacking in quality or character. Na phalat na shao, no use to anyone. The timber is rotten. In other words, it's referring to the manmukh as a narcissistic personality that is unable to find rest. It's neurotic. It's always looking for self-approval. So it cannot, for that reason, build good association with others. Girao, good association. And like dried out trees that are cut down and kindled as firewood, katiye te nit jaliye, the manmukh, their bodies are not suitable to make the instrument of Onna Savadana now. The hint here being that the body was meant to be an instrument through which the music of life would play to the celestial sound, the sabad, primal knowledge, self-knowledge. Instead, manmukhs are regularly cut down, frustrated. The reference here is to death, consigned to fire. This is a repeated process that they get tied into, and they leave the world without the ultimate prize, which was self-knowledge through the discourse of the word, the enlightener. And so the lack of knowledge about our own immortal essence consigns the manmukh to the fear of fire or the constant anticipation of death. And then we are reminded that this drama of life is being played out within hukum. Within hukum is this arena of action, and our deeds are driven by the state of our knowledge, which in turn determines our fate or our circumstance. Hukme karam kamavne paya kirta firao. So in other words, we are really scripting our own futures. And so the state of your knowledge is going to determine what you do. How you see yourself is how you're going to act. So the Guru's advice is, Gur ke pane je chale ta andin rache haranai. Gur ka pana means harmonizing with Gur wisdom, then love and awareness of the self will grow, and that simply is another way of saying one will then attune to hukum and harmonize with hukum and achieve the purpose of life. With those thoughts, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.